Doc, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
First of all, I mean, before we get into it, what happened? How did we move from becoming cholera-free to now having cholera again?
I think that we just let our hair down.
Right.
There was a lot of, in quotes, restriction during COVID time. And so we had about 2 years of people feeling restricted. They had to wash their hands. They had to do this. But it was a good thing. And then after COVID, people just went like 100 or more steps back. And because cholera is a disease of filth, it's an infectious disease. It is technically fecal-oral. So it means that if you had cholera, it means you technically ate somebody's feces, contaminated with the bacteria. Yes.
Okay, Doc, pull up. Wait, hold on. Okay, let's go back to what is cholera?
So cholera is a bacterial infection. Okay. And it's the mode of transmission is what I was telling you about, that it is fecal-oral. So once you have cholera, it means that the bacteria, it's a bacterial infection, so the bacteria was in somebody's stool, okay, because what happens with cholera is that people are having diarrhea, vomiting, and that sort of thing. So for you to get it, it means that you actually ingested the bacteria into your mouth, from the feces into the mouth. That's how you get cholera. There's no other way that you get cholera. So technically, you pick the bacteria and ingested it. So that's why I say cholera is a disease of filth, because how are you ingesting fecal matter? It means that at one point, your body parts, your hands, any other parts that would get into your mouth, got into contact with Vibrio cholera in fecal matter or in vomitus, and you put it in your mouth. And maybe that is a bit so vivid, but look at it from this way, where you purchase, say, vegetables from a vendor, and the vendor maybe had a baby or themselves had the bacteria, went to the toilet, didn't wash their hands very well, or just did some pretending washing of hands with just water, no soap, and then comes back and touches your vegetables with the contaminated hands and serves it to you. Then you take your spoon and wham, it's in your mouth. That is how you get cholera. So once you see somebody with cholera, it's plain and simple, you ate somebody's fecal matter.
Oh, don't make it sound so bad.
I want to keep repeating that so that people get it, that once you're eating, I mean, I think as Ghanaians, we are a bit used to, when I'm going to eat, I don't need to wash my hands with soap and water. When I finish eating, then I wash my hands with soap and water. But it's more important to wash your hands with soap and water before you eat, because it is at that point that you can ingest some of these horrible things into your system, and then all the things repercussions can happen.
Okay, you said that when you see that someone has cholera, it means they have, taking in someone's feces.
Yes.
But how do you know that someone has cholera? I mean, I get hear of people being rushed to the hospital, diagnosed of cholera, but are there early symptoms that you can be able to tell?
Yes. So cholera is a diarrheal disease. And when we talk about diarrhea, I know a lot of Ghanaians know diarrhea. When you have diarrhea, diarrhea means the person is stooling a lot, passing a number of stools more than 3 times in a day. That's a lot of stooling. Because
more than 3 times in a day?
More than 3 times. Usually you will do morning and evening for those who are well toilet trained. Some people even go 3 days and they have not. But for you to go to toilet, lose stools 3 times a day more, that is a problem. So one of the earliest symptoms of cholera is excessive passage of stools with a lot of abdominal pain and vomiting. Those are the 3 basic symptoms. Others, you can have a fever, and then because of the loss of water from the stooling and the vomiting, people just become excessively weak. But that is late stage. The earliest symptoms is pain in the abdomen or in the stomach with vomiting and diarrhea. So in recent times where we have a cholera outbreak on our hands, once you start having symptoms like that, It's not the time that you say, oh, it's just I'm just having an upset. Let me go and take, Ghanaians will go to the drugstore. Then we'll say, give me Imodium. Then they give you Imodium. Imodium will not kill the bacteria.
Right.
So whilst the stool is pretending to stop, the bacteria is still in there multiplying itself, and then it comes back with a vengeance, because once it's bacteria and it keeps multiplying itself, it means that the bacterial load is high, and then your symptoms just worsen. So in these recent times, especially because Christmas is coming up, a lot of festivities, I would advise that if you go out, as much as possible, try and eat hot food.
Okay.
Because the bacteria is killed by heat. So as much as possible, let's avoid cold food, because then it will sit on it. But once the food is hot, the likelihood that the bacteria can survive on it is so as much as possible, let's not be doing ice cream, because it's Christmas time. You won't take your children out, you want to go and buy them ice cream. Ice cream is cold food. So if it's contaminated, you are likely to have the bacteria survive in it and all that. As much as possible, let's avoid eating food that we didn't prepare ourselves. I mean, let me just say this. Recently, we had a case of cholera, and then they said, we don't eat from the restaurants. We prepare our own food. And we're like,
so
okay, then what happened? Then they said, but we buy the vegetables. And that's one thing. You can prepare your own veggies at home, but you can have it contaminated because you don't know where it came from, and the washing must be done and done well. Vinegar, salt to wash it well and dry and make sure that it's clean. Just open the lettuce, open it up, be sure that there are no browny things in there. The fruits and vegetables must be washed well, even if you're preparing it yourself, because you don't know. You know how we see our things on the floor, food. Sometimes you go to the markets and vegetables are laid on the floor.
Yeah.
And people go and pick vegetables on the floor and take it to their home. You don't know what has gone on and those things. So we need to be extra careful.
Okay, Doc, I need you to hold on for me. There's a breaking news that I need to pick from the courts, because I don't know if you've been following the news of the East Legon accident where some 2 children died as a result of an accident. Well, the young boy involved, Bishop Salifu's 16-year-old son, we understand has been sentenced to 6 months imprisonment. And my colleague, Mutala Inusa, joins me live now from the court. Mutala. Hello, Mutala. Mutala, can you hear me? Okay, we apologize for that. If you just joined us, there's breaking news from the courts. The juvenile court has just sentenced Bishop Salifu Amwako's 16-year-old son to 6 months imprisonment to serve, for 6 months to serve as a senior at a senior correctional center, because juveniles are not imprisoned, they are detained. So 6 months. And I have seen videos from the platform, Mutala will give us further details, where the family of the deceased children are not very happy with the sentencing. They want an amendment of the Juvenile Justice Act to increase the number of years for such offenses. I was telling you this morning that the highest number of years that a juvenile can get for serious offenses, which include murder, is 3 years. That is the highest number of years. But depending on the nature of the case, and it can vary. And this morning, just now, the court has just sentenced him to detention for 6 months as a senior correctional facility. Unfortunately, we do not have him now, but that's just the breaking news. When I have him, I'll go back to the court. But if you just joined us also, if you've been watching, we've been here with Dr. Matey talking about cholera and how serious you need to take the issue of cholera. Doc, let's come back to the issue. If we divert, I know that you'll be sad, because I already saw how sad you got when I mentioned the East Legon accident. But, Doc, so you were talking about washing your vegetables and the fruits thoroughly.
Yes.
What more do we have to do?
Yes. So, like I said, it's a disease of filth. So it means that the way to address it is be a bit more hygienic in the things we do and watch what we eat. So hygiene, hand washing, those things that we used to do during COVID, it's an infection prevention and control measure for all diseases of infection. So if cholera is the same or similar in its way of transmission because it's an infectious disease, then all the things that worked during COVID work for it. And then the other extra things is that we know we get cholera from ingestion of the bacteria. So when you're going to ingest anything, you ask yourself, is this thing safe? Could it have cholera in it? And if your answer is yes, it could have cholera in it, then you ask, how can I reduce the chances that whatever I'm ingesting would have cholera in it? And heat is one of the best ways to. So we shouldn't eat cold food at this time. It's not the best time to eat cold food. It's not the best time to say, I want to eat healthy. So you buy a food from a vendor on the streets, and then by all means you want to buy vegetables as well, because yes, you want to eat healthy, but the source may not be the healthiest. So you eat your hot swachi or hot any other food and avoid getting the vegetables from vendors at this time. If you want to eat the vegetables, you can prepare it yourself, making sure that you clean those vegetables well with vinegar, with salts, and make sure that it's clean so that you can eat. And then when you're buying also, I think people should look at the environment that they're buying from. For instance, you gave money, or you're watching the first person in front of you give money to the vendor. Money is dirty. I mean, you don't know, it's been going around other people's hands and all that. So you pick it up and the person receives it. And then the next minute, the vendor just put it in their pocket, and then they use the same hands that they took the money with, and then they're dishing your food. That alone should be a red flag, because money goes round a lot of other people. Sometimes you even see it, unless it's a fresh note and it looks all clean, even that, because it's passed a lot of hands. And then the one that doesn't look good. So we should look around, and maybe you're buying your food and then the vendor has a baby at their back, and then so, oh, give me 1 minute, and then turns the baby around, changes the baby's diapers and things. You don't see them washing their hands with soap and water. The next minute they are back, they do some funny thing with water, and then they are dishing your food. All those things should raise red flags. And as much as possible, let's look at the environment that we are picking our foods from. If you are buying vegetables, why would you buy a vegetable that is sitting on the floor, or fruits that are laid like bare on the floor? As much as possible, our market women at this time, please try and raise the vegetables off the floor for us. have our safety in mind. Raise the vegetables off the floor. Put them on nice tables where you have a nice clean cloth. The whole thing looks clean and presentable, and then people can come and buy. It's not the best to serve people's vegetables and foods on the floor, and then people are, sometimes you go to the market and cabbages are all over, there are flies on it, the fishes, and people are buying. I mean, we need to be a bit more conscious about that. And then in terms of when people come up with symptoms, as much as possible, don't delay. It is the delays that cause the deaths.
All right.
Because within a space of 6 hours, people can vomit and stool so much that the water, our bodies is made up of about 70% water. Once you lose more than 30% of that, you are dehydrated and things like that. So the problem is the delays. People trying to solve their own problems. I'm going to buy a Moody, I'm going to do this. And then they take so much time. By the time they get to health facility, it's a little too late. You can't even get veins and things like that. So once people start having these symptoms, diarrhea, vomiting, abdominal pain in this era, think, could I have cholera? And quickly get your ORS and start drinking it and head towards the health facility for help. Because the longer you wait, and if it's indeed is cholera, within a few hours, things can change and get
Doc,
worse.
thank you very much. Dr.
You're
Louisa
most welcome.
Ademki Matey is the Municipal Director of Health at Ayawaso West Health Directorate.